Welcome, everybody, to Huddle Up with Matias Bueno, episode 19. Today's guest is hockey player Keegan Kolesar. Keegan, thanks so much for joining us in today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
So, Keegan, having played high-level hockey for a while now, the most recent team that you were a part of was the Las Vegas Golden Knights, as well as you were playing in the AHL there. Today,
Yep,
our
with
two main
the
themes are
Chicago Wolves.
with the Chicago Wolves. So, our two main themes today are going to revolve around the importance of legacy as a hockey player, as well as the importance of speed. So to get into the first part, legacy is a big impact idea that revolves around players that play professional sports and around having one of the biggest platforms in Western society to be able to share ideas and values. How do you look at the actions that you do as a player on and off the ice, and how do you connect that to what you want your legacy to be?
The biggest thing for me, well, my grandpa and my dad have just always instilled, just be a good person. It doesn't take much to do that, and it leaves such a lasting impression on anyone. And whenever I can be around, younger kids with hockey, I try to help them out as much as I can, try and make them feel comfortable and create a great environment for everyone. And I think at least for me personally, I always remember the guys that were the nicest to me growing up in hockey and in pro so far. My best friends who I text every day or call every odd day. They're the nicest guys to me when I was a young kid coming into pro hockey, and it goes a long way. And it's just you get that kind of treatment from someone, you want to give it to someone not younger than you, and make them feel just as comfortable as you were when you were in that age.
So in light of the recent events that have happened around the United States, as well as within the scope of professional sports in Canada and the US, there's been the phrase and the hashtag hockey is for everyone that has become more popularized over the last few weeks. What does that mean to you, and how do you reflect on your lived experience with being able to participate in hockey and maybe looking at those who haven't been able to participate as much in the past with the sport?
Yeah, it was huge. Winnipeg obviously is not it's not the most cultural when it comes to hockey. It's predominantly a white sport, and it's the I kind of did feel out of place at first at times, but I stuck with it. My dad was a pro athlete who was African as well, so he's seen the racism, the bigotry and everything in sports and in life. So I had him as a really good backbone just to help me out and guide me through problems if I ever did have them. And over the course of time, I found a great group of guys that I grew up playing hockey with, and we were a pretty cultural team, and we all made each other feel safe and wanted in our team.
And looking upon the impact of having someone like your father be there to help you with issues or have other people to look to as mentors, were there specific players or figures outside of your family that you looked to for inspiration when it came to playing hockey growing up as a kid? Or what was it that really made you want to play a sport that didn't maybe reflect necessarily the same demographic that you were when you were a young kid?
Yeah, my family was always baseball, football. So I actually went and saw one of my best friends. He was playing hockey for the first time, and I went and watched, and I loved it right from like there. And I told my mom, I was like, hey, like I want to get on the ice, like I want to go tomorrow. She goes, no, like it's a lot of work to get the equipment and get you signed up. I'm like, come on, mom. And so it took a lot of begging, but I finally got into it, and it was the best thing for me. I fell in love with it right away, and I think it's even more accessible to kids of all ethnicities now. Back in the day, it was a little bit tougher. It was hard to find the team that was the right fit. Um, we didn't know much either, myself and my family, so we had a lot of learning that we had to do. And I thank all my coaches that I've had growing up. They were the ones that really. My mom would just pay and get me to the rink, but my coaches would help me, with my equipment, which ones would be the best for me, getting fitted up, just giving me all the tools I needed to be able to play.
Did you have a favorite hockey player growing up that inspired you with the sport, or how did you interpret the watching hockey side of being a player outside of going out on the ice and actually strapping up your skates?
I've had quite a few role models through hockey. Those that played and those that gave me a chance to play at the highest level. My uncles were huge for me. They were the ones that really taught me how to skate and took that time for me. And my mom has been an absolute superhero for me, and she's the one that I owe everything to. Players wise, my cousin married Ryan White of the Montreal Canadiens and Flyers back in the day. He married his sister, so he was huge for me. He was like my first taste of getting to know a pro and having them be able to help me. And then in time, I linked up with Brucey, and I met Weiser as well. And Weiser and I stay in touch during the season and during most of the course of the year as well. And um, he's always there to help me out if I have questions or just need to wrap my head around something a different way.
So, how do you handle the mental capacity of being in the midst of professional hockey in a time where the future of sports can be uncertain with when seasons start, and even just for the regular fact that being a professional athlete is really difficult to maintain over many years?
Yeah, this it hasn't been easy for anyone, obviously, and athletes are just the same as regular people, and it's affecting everyone. My buddy's dad, he just got laid off the other day, and the same thing could very well happen to me. I mean, we could not have a season. I hope it doesn't go like that. I don't think it will, but there's always that possibility. And then what do you do from there? Um, rely so much on hockey that something like this, it affects everyone and it makes everyone think, and it brings you back a couple steps.
When you think about that outside of hockey world, what is there one specific thing or maybe a few major things that you want to be able to be remembered for or achieve when you're done being a professional athlete, or how do you assess what life may look like after hockey?
I haven't thought about that too far, honestly. I'm usually the kind of day to day kind of guy. In the long run, I'd say I just wanted people to say, he gave it his all. He was a very successful player on and off the ice, and he was a great man. At the end of the day, if I can hear those things, then I know I did something right, and I can be happy with myself.
And I can only imagine the difficulty that would be put upon players, especially in a scenario like this year with the bubble and having to be away from your family. Do you find that when you look at what Tampa Bay did this year, that it can people talk about asterisks on the championships that are won this year, but do you feel like what Tampa Bay did was more extra special than what a team would have done during a regular course of a season?
It's hard. Um, they were a good team. They're missing their captain too. Like that's pretty remarkable. And the bubble's no easy task. I think I had it easier than most guys, just because I'm a younger guy. I didn't have a girlfriend. I don't have a kid. I felt horrible for the guys on our team that had wives, that were busy with 3 kids, 4 kids, going crazy, and it's kind of It sucks seeing your teammates FaceTime their kids through the phone, and the kid's like, "Dad, when are you coming home?" Like it's hard. I was lucky enough that I didn't have to go through that, but and still it can be tough at times too. You want to be around your family, like my grandparents, my mom, my brother and sister. So there's pros and negatives, um, but I definitely think the guys that were married had it the hardest of anyone with kids.
I can only imagine how tough it would have been, especially from what you talk about in that scenario for players on the Lightning, let alone others in the league. And being able to win a championship, I don't think is any small feat in any capacity in hockey, especially because it's such a sport of endurance by the time that you reach the playoffs. So, can you speak to the experience that you've had with playing playoff hockey at a high level and how much it really requires a lot of endurance?
Yeah, it's a whole different beast. Like there's you could. It's hard to really put into words until you get out there. Like half of it's like your adrenaline's through the roof the first game, and then once you get there, you find your pace, and you find your your adrenaline and everything. um it can be tough at times, yes, but it's the best time of the year, and that's why we play.
No doubt. And in terms of being a hockey player in general, what's your favorite thing about being a professional athlete? Because obviously there are a lot of pros and there are some cons that maybe people don't think about. But what do you take away the most from it?
It's given me, a wonderful life so far. I got a great family, great group of friends. I just bought a house actually here in Winnipeg, so I'm kind of moving. So it's given me a chance to, start my life and living my dream too. I grew up thinking, I'm going to play hockey for a living and get paid for it, and I've achieved that. And now, I'm still young and I have a long ways to go, but I've been checking off the boxes as long as I've gone.
Are you looking forward to maybe a potential opportunity to be a player in Winnipeg, or do you want to see just where things kind of take you?
I think it's in every kid's mind when you're from Winnipeg. You see how great they're treated here. The fan base is amazing. You go anywhere in the city, they're celebrities. Um, Winnipeg's always been a spot where I love coming to play. I always have really good games here in front of the family. And it'd be a dream come true as well. It'd be a nice little um, way to play for my hometown and just say, I was a hometown kid and I played for my team.
What is your favorite city to play in the United States, or obviously outside of the context of playing in Winnipeg in Canada?
Yeah, United States, I would say Las Vegas. Yeah, it's wild. It's always warm. Can golf 24/7 there. The games are electric. Best food you ever have in your life, and um, some nice looking girls.
Is it tough to stay focused for away players? You think in Vegas when guys travel on the road to Las Vegas?
Yeah, for sure. I could see that. It's Vegas. I mean, you don't come here too often, and we're off the strip. So like we're in Summerlin. It's like a suburb area, so we're pretty far away from the strip. We only go down there for like it's like a game day or something. And plus, like once you're there for that long, it kind of loses the novelty. But teams that are coming in and maybe need to let off some steam, it's probably a good and bad spot to be.
Just from a perspective of a player within the organization, did you find that there was a lot of surprise seeing how successful the team became once they had their inaugural season, or how did you assess Vegas's immediate success?
They had a great roster right from this day one. Riley Smith, Jonathan Marchessault, James Neal, David Perron. I'd played junior hockey with Theodore, and I knew what kind of player he was. Colin Miller. They had a really good roster, and in that league, like anyone can win at any time. See it anywhere. I mean, the year before Tampa lost, they got swept by Columbus. Now they win it. Anyone can beat anyone in the league.
It's truly such an even game, especially in the playoffs. You look at a team like Tampa who became Stanley Cup champions, were only a year removed from being swept as the number one seed by the Columbus Blue Jackets, which was crazy, crazy to think about. And to shift over to the topic of our next theme and talking about speed, you know, Glenn has the phrase, speed is life, and that there are people talk about how speed kills. Is that one of the, in terms of a quintessential skill in hockey, do you find that that is one of the top three skills that a player must possess in the NHL, or how do you assess
Yeah,
that?
yeah. All the top play, you have to skate. Like you have to be a good skater to survive in the NHL. Only the select few who can. I wouldn't even say not barely skate, but might have lost it as they've gotten older. Their brain is just so big that it helps them. Like young guys are coming in faster and faster, and that's how the league's going, and that's how you have to be if you want to, keep up or even make an impact. It's just you have to have speed, and Glenn has it all dialed down. It's a science for him.
And when I look at the evolution of the players in the NHL, you look at guys like enforcers that played in the '90s, or people that maybe weren't great skaters or great skill wise, but were just big bodies. And when did you think there was that pivot from, being able to have those guys that were rough and tough to like everyone has to be very fast and you also have to have a baseline level of skill?
I'm not sure. You know what? The game's always changing. I mean, 10 years from now, who knows how it could be? It could go back to all fighters again, just for entertainment purposes. I don't know how it's going to look, but the game's just been trending towards faster, more entertainment. You still get the fights, you still get the big tilts, but I think the game's just going in the direction of speed and skill, and it's going to be hard for sure for a lot of guys, but I think as long as you're able to skate, you got a chance.
Now, in terms of talking about that evolution of skill, who is the toughest opponent that you've personally faced on the ice?
Personally faced on the ice, Brett Burns probably played against him in preseason. He's pretty insane. He like screams at you if you come forecheck. I'm forechecking him and he starts screaming. I don't know why, but it was pretty funny.
Do you have a favorite person that you like matching up against on the ice as well?
Uh, no, I kind of worry about myself too. Um, it's different too. Like there's in the American League, guys get switched around, called up, sent down so much, and then in the NHL, you could be there for a game and then get sent down. It's kind of all over the place unless you're like an established player, like a Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, those guys, a Koff, like then you would know who you like to play against.
That's fair, and I can only imagine obviously the importance as a professional athlete of making sure to stick to yourself and make sure that you got yourself taken care of in order to make sure you still have a job at the end of the day is a super important thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully we can play this and I can keep my job. Don't know what I'd do without it, but I think we will play. I think the NHL did a great job of it in playoffs. We had no positive tests, so um, interested to see how this is all going to unravel. Don't know what the plan is yet, but I'm hearing it's going to come together in a little bit, but we'll find out pretty soon.
Well, Keegan, we're getting towards the end of our time here for part one. I want to thank you so much for having joined us. And thank you again to Glenn Bruce for having set up this outstanding connection here. And were there any last words you want to mention or say to all the listeners out there?
I just want to say thank you for having me. And Brucey, speed is life. Thank you for getting me on here.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to episode 19 with Keegan Kolesar.